course, all the teachers who have completed BEd, they're familiar with what is a lesson plan. And no doubt they are 100% sure about the art and science of writing a lesson plan. And unfortunately, what happens immediately after completing that BEd curriculum, or the moment we are coming out of that BEd campus, we forget about that and we believe that we masters of all that. Maybe till 2019 December, this would not have been a much problem. But what happens from 2020 onwards, we may not feel this, we may not experience the same classroom type, design, and maybe the materials of classroom while we are addressing an online classroom. That is where the relevance of a learning plan comes. Now, why should we plan a lesson, especially while we are planning an online? The thing is very simple. I would like to connect it with a journey. Now, while we are planning, while we are going for a journey, especially if you're traveling it with our family, we will definitely have a plan. If it's a solo journey, we may not do that. We may take risk. We like adventurous journeys. But while going with the family, we definitely need to plan. We think about security, safety, and all other factors. The same thing happens in a lesson plan also. The purpose of teaching is to build up a new generation, the future people, with proper outcome that we desire. So a lesson plan is a must because we need properly learned students. So if you ask me, why do we plan the lesson plan? Why do we plan a lesson? There are so many reasons. Number one is it's a part of confidence. See, if a teacher doesn't feel confident, if he's not confident in the classroom, how can we do that? How can he teach the students? And the teacher is totally different from a platform where they could actually physically see the students. Now, what the visuals of the students that the teacher get is a stamp size visuals on his or her screen. So is the teacher confident with the technology? Is the teacher confident with the content? All those things matters. So it's a matter of confidence for teachers to have a proper plan to teach his or his children. That is necessary. Number one is, we need an environment. It may be a 20-year experienced teacher. He might have been there in teaching exceptionally well in the classrooms for the last 20 years. But fortunately or unfortunately, for the 21st year, he's going to be online, which may be a totally unknown platform where he's or she's not used to be. So how can we create a lively learning environment? The teacher has to plan. The teacher has to redesign. He has written so many lesson plans, so different, maybe tried different exceptional types of lesson plans for the last 20 years, but none of them works there in the online. So the teacher needs a plan to create a lively learning environment. The teacher was very live, very active in the maybe physical classrooms. But how can the teacher be, how the teacher has to be different to make a lively plan? So the teacher has to have an online plan. All the activities that the teacher has been successfully doing there in the classrooms may not work online. There may be better activities, games or shows where the teacher can use there in the online classrooms. Definitely, no doubt, we are going to experience a better way of learning, better way of teaching in online, no doubt. So a teaching plan is a must there. And number three, what is learning? What is proper learning? It is customized version of the text and the customized version of the environment. So both should happen. So the same text, we have learned that the same text cannot be taught in the same way in two different classrooms. It may be, the content may be same, but it has to be different based on the intellectual level of the students. At the same time, it has to be different based on the environment level also. The same activities cannot be done in two different classes, even because of the environment. So the environment of a physical classroom cannot be predicted or expected in an online platform. We can divide groups in our class, no doubt. The same thing can be done in Zoom also, or any other learning platforms, but the ways are different. The teacher cannot see the students. The teacher cannot be present in all the groups. He has to move from group to group. So all these things have to be planned specifically to create a customized learning environment. So the teacher has to have a customized text, the customized learning environment also. And normally, the next lesson we talk about, whenever we talk about learning, what is the most important level? It is the outcome, or it is the exit level. If you ask me what is teaching, the only one, maybe the most simple answer should be, it's a journey from entry level to exit level. What is the teacher doing? What does the teacher do is to create, maybe fill that learning gap from entry level to exit level. So if a teacher doesn't have a proper plan, how can he or she create that exit level? If it, no, take the first example. We have begun a journey. We have started a journey and we don't know where to exit, where we don't know the way to return, or we don't know which is the exit level. How can we plan that journey? How will that journey go smoothly? So it may be, while we may be teaching maths, we may be teaching physics, or we are into social science, and we may be taking just a part of a portion of a particular lesson. If you don't know the exit level, if you're not able to reach that exit level, how can we proceed at the entry level of the next lesson? So no exit entry process happen if the teacher does not have any proper plan there. We talk about it may be online platform, it may be the actual classrooms. What is most important is keeping the time limit. It may be 45 minutes, it may be 1 hour. And we don't go more than that. The question is, the learning plan is effective. The teacher has superb style of presentation. The only thing is the teacher is not able to finish on that. We may not be able to use the same strategies in the classroom that we use to finish the class. It may not be working in the online. So does my plan work as per the time schedule? If I teach this equation, will it take 5 minutes or 10 minutes? So this matters. Saving time, protecting time, and keeping up the time, and producing the result out of that time within the stipulated time, it is the duty of a teacher. So the teacher has to consider whether it works. And what is lesson plan? Just a roadmap. During the journey, we use the navigator. Why do we use? Sometimes, even though we know in and around of the journey, the locations that we travel through, we prefer to have navigator. That's why a teacher should use this lesson plan, the planning process also. The teacher know what is the first step, the second step, to maybe the last 7th or 8th step. He should know how does that journey proceeds. Is there any roadblocks? If something happens in between, if the teacher was not able to carry with that exercise, what will be the other option? Maybe, when we're talking about lesson plans or learning plans, we should think about even plan A, plan B, and plan C also. I have planned everything well, and the moment I start the class, I could understand that the students are not able to pick up that lesson. Let me take plan B. Or if I feel that this effective exercise that I have done in the previous class, that doesn't match, doesn't suit to this particular group. They don't understand what I'm speaking even. So you need to have plan B. So the teacher cannot escape from preparing a learning plan. And no outcome will happen if there is no plan. If it is life learning, think about any people who are successful. They're successful just because they have planned. It's true that all the plans may not work. Now, if we have a plan, we will understand that whether it works or not. If we don't have a plan, how can we know that whether it is suitable, whether it is fruitful, whether it is productive? We don't know nothing. If we have a specific plan, when we try to attempt it, we will understand that this is okay, this is good. Okay, this is fail. This is a failure, total failure. It fails. We can plan the next. So plan is a must, and there is no compromising for a teacher in creating a proper lesson plan. This is a normal situation that the teachers face in the classrooms. We always prefer to have the so-called disciplined classrooms. Especially the teachers like the term discipline. And even maybe the head of the institutions, the people, the administrators who are at the back of the institution, they are really worried about the teacher performance based on their ability to make the discipline in the classroom. Being an ordinary teacher in a disciplined classroom, in an extraordinary, well-performing classroom, it's very easy. But we can expect that always. The teacher thinks that if the teacher thinks that the students should be silent always in the class, the students should always obey what the teacher has, always what the teacher says. The teacher has to, the students have to do all the activities. He has to perform all the assignments and homework that he has given on the previous day. I think that's a big mistake made by the teachers. We cannot expect that. And the students by nature won't do that. Now, I am afraid of the comment that made by teachers the moment they are entering a classroom, especially if it is an indisciplined classroom, silent. Silence. Even that shouting, that utter shouting, which is a nonsense, may create a silence there in the classroom, maybe for 1 minute or 2 minutes. And what happens after that? Maybe if while the teacher taking attendance or he's turning back on, he's turning to the blackboard to write something, what happens there in the classroom? All these things are expected behavior of the teacher, expected behavior of the students. The capacity of the teacher is to manage that. Making students silent is very easy. What's very difficult is making students speak. Keeping student mum disciplined is very easy. But making them active is what is very difficult. The purpose of the teacher and why the teacher is there in the classroom is not to make them silent or inactive or disciplined. The only purpose of the teacher is to be there in the class to make them active speaking. Sometimes I wonder, even in the language classes, it may be mother tongue, it may be a foreign language, so the teachers use the word silent. What is the purpose of the class? The basic purpose of a language class is to communicate. Either it is English or in Malayalam or it is French, and the teacher says that you be silent. Then what is the purpose of that class? So it's a question, how do we manage? Maybe we call them the problem-making child or the problem children, which is also a misinterpreted term. How do we manage them? The question is this: did you have a plan? Did you make any research, or did you make any research on why do they make problems? Did you have a previous study on your students, the nature of their students, the emotional, intellectual level of the students? We have discussed in that book itself, while writing a plan, or even before writing a plan, the teacher has to understand the students. We learned even, B.Ed or TTC time or B.Ed education, because I learned that to teach John Latin, you should know both John and Latin, not Latin alone. Unfortunately, we learn Latin and we do researches in Latin, but we don't do anything with that zone. So, what is the role of lesson plan in managing such kind of people or children? In lesson plans, while the teacher writing lesson plan, the teacher has to keep in mind all these categories in the people. Now, if the activities I design, if they address only the brilliant students in the class, or if it reaches at their intellectual level, maybe how can the students with medium IQ be silent in your class? They don't understand whatever you speak because the teacher doesn't speak to those people. The teacher addresses the front benches who are exceptional in their IQ. So, number one, include proper activities that addresses, that takes care of all, that take care of all types of students in the class. Number two, the teacher has the emotional intelligence of the teacher. Maybe the mindfulness of the teacher. It is not the ability for being arrogant. That is not the capacity of the teacher. You need to be efficient. We need to be well organized. At the same time, we should have emotional intelligence also. Is the teacher mindful? Teacher may have his own frustrations. Does it mean that the students should undergo all those kind of frustrations? No. Managing maybe a violent child, it takes a Herculean task. It's a Herculean task. It needs that extra effort of the teacher. The students may be of different type. Does the teacher have the critical thinking? Why some of the students are silent? Why some of the students are inactive? Why some of them are hyperactive? What is their intellectual level? What is their emotional status? What are the problems that regularly face, maybe every day in their home? Until if we cannot address those issues, we cannot teach anything. It's a part of confidence from the teacher to have a proper learning plan or a lesson plan where the teacher takes care of all those categories of people, which addresses all those issues of the students. Now, how do we reach a learning objective? Reaching a learning objective doesn't mean you cover the portion. No. We can read the entire text and say that we have completed the portion. No. A learning outcome is reached when we discover the people. It is not all about covering the portion, it is all about discovering the students in front of us. And for that, if their emotional issues are not addressed, their intellectual levels are not treated appropriately, we cannot expect an outcome. Learning plan, those things also should be addressed. Am I addressing their intellectual level? Does it suit the emotional capacity of the students? Do we have activities, materials, everything that is appropriate, those that are appropriate to the learning level of the students? So, unless the teacher prepared with a proper plan, no student will sit listening to the teacher. Teaching is a comprehensive affair. We may be teaching as a teacher, maybe, and as a maths teacher, day one, we may be taking a part of lesson one. Or as an English teacher, we may be taking maybe the last lesson for the last day. Doesn't mean that that lesson is the entire text. A teacher has to know three things. Number one is curriculum, number two is syllabus, and number three is the lessons. Every nation has its own curriculum framework, as we have national curriculum framework, and it may change as per the government changes. It's a duty of the teacher or any educator to learn and understand what is the current curriculum or what is the current educational policy of the government. Otherwise, the teacher may not be able to maybe a very comprehensive part of that learning system. It's like constructing a building. It includes the foundation and it includes the roof also. Yeah. There may be many types of workers working in the construction of a home. There may be masons, there may be carpenters, there may be electricians, plumbers, all those type of people will be there. But think of a situation if an electrician says that I just know only the electrical part of the home. I don't know the other things. And if a mason says that I just do the cementing part, I don't know the other works, the wooden works, I don't take care of that. I don't address their needs. It's impossible. If the teacher doesn't understand what is the curriculum framework, what is the educational policy of the government, or what does the government of that country mean by education, what is their long vision purpose of education, how can a teacher be a part of that government? It's true that he may be an effective teacher in standard 1 or standard 10 or maybe an exceptional lecturer at degree level. It doesn't matter. I should know what is the purpose of the government, or do I go with the strategies and the plans of the government? See, based on that curriculum, the planned curriculum, the government or the educational experts, they decide the syllabus. No, the 6th standard syllabus is not a compartmental factor. It may start from LKG or it may reach up to the research level. So if I am a teacher at 8th standard or 9th standard, it doesn't mean that I teach only at 9. I may know, or I might have done any research even in one of the lessons in 9th standard. I may be absolutely confident because I have experience also teaching in 9th standard for the last so many years. It doesn't mean that I am an outcome-oriented teacher. I should know what happens in 8th standard, 7th standard. I should know where did they start learning physics or maths. What was the first step and what is the next step? Without understanding the previous step and the next step, a teacher cannot be a complete teacher in the classroom. It doesn't work there. So knowing the syllabus and having a proper plan is an mandatorily maybe an expected behavior from the teacher. And when the teacher understands this, the teacher starts writing the daily plan. Because the students, the teacher can, if the teacher knows where does the students come from. Okay, from 8th standard, they have learned this syllabus. They have covered these portions. They have learned about these scientists, these theories. They know all those things. Now, what should I do with that knowledge? I have a text. I should follow the text. I should go deep into the text. And at the same time, I know that after completing 9th standard, at 10th or 11th or 12th, they will be undergoing the next lessons. And I know that also. So the teacher is very specific about what should happen in 9th standard. What should happen in day 1, day 2, and day 200. If that kind of systematically planned system is not there, or custom is not there, the teacher cannot work anything. If the teacher writes a daily lesson plan, the root is there in the syllabus, and the foundation, even if down there in the foundation. So the purpose of teaching, the purpose of writing a lesson plan is, it should be comprehensive with the syllabus, and it should tally with maybe the grassroots level, the curriculum plan or the curriculum framework of the government also. So we cannot deny curriculum, syllabus, and daily plans in our teaching process. Technology may be the most versatile factor that is going to change in the classroom. Maybe immediately after completing that our B.Ed or D.Ed courses, the teachers have to keep in mind 2 words, Number one is adoption. Number one is upgradation. We have the tendency to skip away from those words the more we are experienced. We know that we are into classrooms. We have experienced those all types of students in classrooms out of those past previous so many years. So normally we have the tendency to think that we know everything. So we fail to upgrade ourselves. We fail to adopt ourselves. What is adoption? The classrooms in different parts of the world, it will be different. The classrooms of the village may not be same as an urban classroom. The teacher has to adopt. The students, they cannot do anything. They are helpless. The teacher has to adopt. In one of the schools, there may be all kind of multimedia facilities where in other classrooms, they haven't even seen such things. The teacher has to adopt. The learning pattern and style of students in an area would most probably be different from the other one. The teacher has to adopt. So it doesn't mean that the teacher, maybe from any part of India, completed a B.Ed, which is almost similar also, would make the teacher fit to any educational scenario. No, it won't work. The teacher should be able to adopt himself to the situation, to the standards, to the policies, to the styles of the students, everything. So it's about upgradation. Now, does the teacher upgrade himself? Think of an Indian situation. A teacher who has completed his B.Ed in any of the educational institutions in India, maybe from 20 years back. Does he need to upgrade? Is he compelled to do that? If he doesn't upgrade, will it affect his salary or any kind of benefits? Most probably may not be. So we often teachers think that it is not mandatory to upgrade. Because this year 7th standard student will go up and next year it's a first 7th standard student. But we don't understand that the students have changed a lot and the world has changed a lot. And sometimes, most of the time, we are not competent to meet those students, especially with technology. And some of us have really experienced or have worst experience of less competence with those students. I think there are two type of teachers during this post-COVID time. Number one is teachers who have upskilled themselves. The other groups, teachers who have downskilled. Think of a situation in any schools. Those who have upskilled with their online skills, either it may be a Google platform, Zoom, whatever it is, they're still safe in their academic scenario. They're not going to be jobless. But think of a situation who are not able to change, who are not able to upgrade, those who say that I can't do this, I'm not able to do that. If it was a pre-COVID period, there would not have been much issues. The management or the administrative them, they would accommodate it because of his seniority or service-mindedness and all those things. But maybe a downskilled teacher is going to be out of the campus, no doubt. If I'm not able to sit in front of a camera or sit in front of a Zoom, or if I don't know how to do a share screen, how can I survive as a online teacher? And even think of the situation, if this post-COVID education, if everything is over and we have got the medicine also, when we are back to our classrooms, still do we think that we will get that good old classrooms where students learn from blackboards? Nothing will happen. It's going to be hybrid classrooms, no doubt. It will be hybrid classrooms, which is a perfect blend of online and offline sessions. No school is going to be 100% offline. No learning is going to be 100% online. We need to have a perfect mix. We understood that maybe working from home or teaching from home is sometimes more comfortable. Learning process. there are two things which are very much important and relevant. Number one is what do we teach? Number two is whom do we teach or who do we teach? All the lessons are different. No doubt all the students are also. The lessons are categorized to take care of students with different learning styles. So it's the basic purpose of the teacher to understand what types of learners are there in the class and what type of teaching should we have while dealing with different types of students also. If the teacher knows just one style, he may be an expert in that style. He may be a very good reader. He may be a very good experimentalist. He may be a very good maybe problem solver. None of the single formula works because the students are different. And the same student, he may have different mood in the morning and he may be in a totally different mood in the evening. So even the attitude of the students matters or it differs based on the personality of the students. There are lots of researches still going on regarding learning styles. We know the multiple intelligence theory of Howard Gardner. And there are so many others who are following and who are agreeing and disagreeing with those people. There is even upgradation about Gardner's multiple intelligence theory also. So normally they talk about four basic learning styles, and there are some other people, some other educationalists who go further than that four also. We call it as VARK, learning styles. Number one is visual learners. They prefer visuals. They use eyes more than any other senses. They want to see things and experience. Those learners are visual learners. On the other side, there are auditory learners. They use the ears. They will be very attentive in their classes. They listen to each and every words of the teacher. There is another category, read and write learners. They listen to what is being read in the classroom. They are like writing. They are so much interested in doing exercises, homeworks, and all those things. There are kinesthetic learners. Number four. They cannot even sit in the classroom. While the visual learners and auditory learners, they're happy to sit on the front row. They will be keenly listening, keenly watching what is the teacher doing. But this type of kinesthetic learners, they cannot even sit in the classroom. They would like to move around. So how do we manage, even while we take up these basic four different styles, they are totally different. We cannot manage a kinesthetic student with our auditory strategies. We can never treat a child with the auditory skills with our own visual patterns. We cannot do that. There are other types also, verbal learners, logical learners, solitary learners, social learners, naturalistic learners. So social learners, naturalistic learners, they want to come out of the classroom. They want what is the best they prefer is to learn outside the classroom. But if the teacher is stuck in the classroom, it's not the problem of the student being bored. It's the inability of the teacher to understand what his learning style and so keeping in the classroom itself. So while preparing a lesson plan and while taking that lesson, the teacher should have a previous knowledge on learning styles of the students. At least he should satisfy the majority. If there are 50 students in the classroom, if the teacher identifies that 30 are visual, 10 are auditory, other 2-3 only are kinesthetic, everyone is there in the classroom to enjoy the class. So at least teacher should be able to keep the tempo of, keep the spirit of the majority, at least the majority. So when we say that what is expected from the teacher is individual attention, unless teacher gives importance to these learning styles, The teacher won't be able. The teacher won't be an effective teacher. He may read out everything and he will complete the portion, but there is no proof that the students enjoyed or understood the lessons properly. They may even get the mark if they by heart, but they might have never enjoyed the teaching of that particular teacher. So, learning styles is no doubt, without any compromise, it's a mandatory element in preparing a lesson plan.